everyone. Welcome to SoDA Series Live. Hey, Tom. Each month, SoDA and Adobe come together to bring you candid, in-depth discussions with agency founders and creative leaders from all over the world. Our goal is to help keep you informed of some of the key trends and topics helping to shape and influence the creative industry. I'm Kristen Bell from the Strategic Development team here at Adobe, and I'm joined by Tom Beck, our Executive Director of SoDA, and we're your hosts. So thanks so much for joining us. So Tom, for those who haven't heard of SoDA, tell us a bit about your organization and its mission.
Yeah, sure thing. It's good to see you, Kristen. Thanks for having us again. And I'm Tom Beck, Executive Director at SoDA. SoDA was founded in 2007, and we are a global member-based organization for founders and owners and leadership teams at digital agencies. We have about 100 member agencies spanning 20 countries. And our whole purpose is to help our members become smarter, more connected, more supported to the ideas, resources, network they need to run an incredible digital business. When we've been partners with Adobe since the very beginning, back in 2007, Kristen was there. And so we're just thrilled to be running the series, with our good friends. So thanks for having us.
Of course. I love that we can do things like this. I love the collaborations and just the creative ways that we help support our industry. So thank you. So to start things off, I'd like to introduce Talon Wadsworth, Principal Designer here at Adobe. Hey, Talon. Thanks so much for joining us. Oh, I think you're on mute. Talon's going to be.
I was being a good background person there. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So Talon is going to be speaking with a power duo out of Rotterdam today, and I'm going to have Tom do the honors of introducing the guests.
Great. Yeah. So I'm thrilled to introduce Pim van Helten and Michael Vromans from SoDA member DPDK. They're based in Rotterdam, as Kristen said, and also have offices in New York and San Francisco. An incredible studio, been around for almost 20 years now, I think, so true veterans in the space. And they do just a really interesting mix of work kind of at the intersection of brand design, digital technology, content, and product innovation. And I've loved working with these two and seeing how their business has evolved, both in terms of capabilities, but also as they've expanded their footprint from outside of the Netherlands, into the US and globally. Will also be a really cool conversation. Pim is one of the founding partners and now managing partner and CEO of DPDK. And Michael is the Chief Creative Officer. So we'll get some good perspectives both across the business side as well as kind of design, creative technology trends that are important to us today. So big thanks for Pim and Michael joining us. I'll turn it over to Talon in just a minute, and we can bring Pim and Michael on. For those of you in the audience today, just a quick comment. First of all, thanks for being here and carving out time to join us. Kristen and I will drop off the camera in just a second, and we will be interacting in the LinkedIn comments. So feel free to make comments along the way and pose questions. Kristen and I will capture those questions, and then we'll have some time later on in the session to get those to Talon, Michael, and Pim. So Kristen and I will see you in the comments, and I'll turn it over to the crew here, and we're looking forward to a great discussion today. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah,
thanks Tom. Thanks, Kristen. All right, Pim, Michael, welcome.
Hey, Talon, what's up?
Thanks. How's your evening going? There's no better thing I like to do in the morning than talk to two talented people like yourself. So thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. How are things? How are things this evening there in the Netherlands?
Oh, it's quite cold here, and it's ice skating time.
Yeah.
I always miss a little bit of that. I grew up in the mountains in Salt Lake City, Utah, and so I kind of miss the seasons, being in the Bay Area. So you're probably tired of the cold, but I could do with a little bit of that. So.
No, it's like here it never lasts long here. So this past week with snow and ice, like the whole country is going haywire because finally there's something, right? Everybody can go outside again, and everybody's cheerful and everybody's testing out the ice. So no, it's fine. It's great.
Yeah. Well, good. All right. Be safe on your bikes, everybody there in the. All right. Well, thank you both for being here. You know, I mean, it was a pleasure. So both, you know, Michael, you and I got to catch up over a social hour originally, which was kind of fun that we've been running here virtually. And of course, Pim, you know, we get to catch up a little bit last week. So I'm really excited to chat with you both. You know, and also I've been practicing DPDK just so I'm gonna make sure I'm not gonna switch that around. I talk very fast sometimes, so I get those switched up a lot. So I've been practicing. I'm really excited to speak with you both. You know, let's just like start with some context here. You know, Pim, tell us a little bit about DPDK and kind of your area of focus. You know, and a little bit of that history of you know those 20 years now, which is amazing.
Definitely, yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for that great introduction, Tom and Talon and Karen. DPDK. I'm one of the co-founders of DPDK. DPDK is a digital agency with the mission to help bold brands transform into their best digital selves by delivering exceptional work, and we're very good at that. Currently, we are a team of 75 talented individuals with more than 20 different nationalities. So we are an internationally oriented team, which is very fun to work with, but also I think it positively influences the work that we deliver. Our headquarters is based in Rotterdam, like Tom mentioned, in Netherlands, and we have 2 satellite offices, one in New York and one in San Francisco. And the agency was indeed founded 20 years ago. This year is our 20th anniversary in 2001, right after the .com bubble, basically. When we started back then, we mainly specialized in Adobe Flash. It was Macromedia back then. Yeah, right. And we were very good at that. And what we did is we served the traditional ad agencies with digital production services and campaign execution. So we built the marketing campaign websites, and we did the bannering, etc. So that was back in the days when digital was mainly a side issue of marketing and advertising, I guess. And today, DPDK focuses on digital customer experiences, and we work, like Tom said, we work at the intersection of branding, product design and development, and content marketing, and that's where we excel. We partner with brands all over the world, and we help them with combining technology, design, data, and ultimately creativity to create exceptional work that in the end grows our businesses. So that's DPDK in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, then that trend line of brands investing in digital, right? Since your founding, I'm sure it was, you know, hard to convince them to do all these kind of crazy experiments and all these different channels and devices and that trend line has just grown, right? There's just more and more brands taking advantage of digital communication, right? Like having to, you know, have a presence on all these different channels. And so has that really, like, how has that really affected the work that the team has done? Like, do you like, are people like really, are they asking for more? Are they're you as a team expanding and doing more work across all the, you know, like new devices and new technologies in the last few years?
And we don't have to convince our clients to buy a website anymore. That's for sure.
Very true. Very true. I mean, so I mean, how was the year 2020? I mean, we've all been, you know, dealing with the fallout of the pandemic, and of course, you know, as a global team, you know, you made that transition maybe a little more smoothly than some who maybe weren't used to such a dispersed and varied team.
Yeah, Yeah, 2020. I have mixed feelings about 2020. It was like for everyone else, it was a year with in which everything was turned upside down. Basically, we had a lot of plans and ambitions which we had to either postpone or to other things to prioritize. But from the business perspective, it was one of the best years ever for DPDK.
Wow.
Despite the impact of the pandemic, DPDK performed very well in 2020. We've seen our revenues grow. We improved the overall profitability, and we expanded the team with many new talents. So that's yeah, I'm really proud of that. And on top of that, well, I always like to think that the quality of work can always be improved, can always be better. I think that the overall quality of work and services in 2020 have remained stable, while behind the scenes we had to reorganize a lot since we had to switch to remote. So yeah, so overall happy with the performance of the business, but there are also a lot of concerns about the impact of working from home, obviously, and the lockdowns in general on the well-being of our team members, and also to the company culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We'll get to the culture in a second. I wanted to kind of throw it over to Michael here for a minute, and because you talked about the quality of work, and of course acquiring new talent and growing the team over 2020. Michael, kind of on the talent side, what's been the approach, to adding new people during? I mean, because I know in the past you may have had people come in and kind of immerse themselves in the culture, but now it's everybody's remote. Like, how have you been handling that? Acquisition of new talent and bringing them on board and getting them immersed in DPDK culture.
Yeah, so I think like everyone else, we had to switch really quick to remote working. It literally happened overnight for us. We had a test day where the whole company, we set up everything like, okay, we're doing the test, and we stayed in it like from that day on, because like lockdown just happened. Yeah. But fortunately, we already had experience with collaboration, kind of remote, or at least with remote people, right? Working between different time zones and offices and teams flying out and in. So luckily, like the communications and stuff, that was already sorted out, and we were able to, again, switch like overnight. So it was really quickly. And then, pertaining talent, it, amidst all of, the crazy stuff and the negative stuff going on due to COVID, it did enable us to even drop, let go more of location-based talent scouting and look more for skill-based. Right. We've added team members from like South Africa, from Spain, from Italy, from the US, and they haven't had the pleasure of visiting one of the offices. Obviously, that's a downside, but the upside is you can really focus on the people that really fit the company best, and then we'll work on getting them in. So it does involve obviously some new ways of how do you get people in the culture and how do you spread that. But it starts with the right people. That's what we keep finding. So in that sense, it's we're grateful for the positive things. We've been quite successful in getting in some real talented plus very nice people. So we definitely plan on extending that, whatever happens, to keep that mindset and keep the positives from this. Definitely, yeah.
It's really interesting where things have been sort of thrown on its head with this last year. How it really makes you shift your perspective, right? About talent and about hiring people and about what you're, like the effort to supporting a remote culture, and the doors that opens up, right? That's a really fascinating sort of angle of this last year. I know even at Adobe here, I think we've, evaluated our stance when it comes to, hiring people who are remote and people who, again, like maybe we wouldn't have looked at or considered in the past, right?
Yeah, because you need to have, you used to be searching for a kind of a willingness to relocate, right? Or sometimes there would be to and fro, this kind of hesitance, right? Because somebody is like literally, hours and time zones away. So if you want to hire that person, you want to make sure that you're able to work with them. And for some reason, we were stuck. I think everybody was stuck in like the old paradigm of you need to be able to share a room together and everything's still okay. Right. but that just, you cannot just rip someone's, somebody out of his life and suddenly that's not possible anymore. So we also say it's not necessary anymore. It just makes it very interesting, and it opens up your eyes. So we're definitely going to keep that positive.
Yeah. And Pim, do you think there's been any like opportunities you've been able to take advantage of, like whether it's like with hiring remote talent, like have you seen, like, are there any kind of like benefits or things that you've seen, or things that maybe you wouldn't have considered in the past that really like kind of came up and surprised you over the last year with remote work?
Yeah, I think like Michael mentioned, it really opened up the talent pool. So that's the big opportunity, with all its difficulties, obviously, in the end. But definitely. Yeah,
Pim, kind of to go back to that culture thing for a second. So that is now the flip side of that challenge, right? Like it's easy to sort of have everybody in and kind of get them all on the same page and kind of immersed in the same culture. So how have you tackled maintaining the culture of a creative company throughout the pandemic with everyone working remotely, not just like the people who are spread out globally, but now the team there in Rotterdam as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maintaining a creative culture. I've noticed that there's a lot of discussion about this topic within the SoDA community. A lot of, especially since the pandemic hit us a year ago, a lot of agencies are struggling with this topic, obviously. And the way I see it, what we currently miss most in general is inspiration, because when you're at the office, you're stimulated by the things you see around you. Right, you have the printed designs that we hang on the walls. We have animations, for instance, on the screen of a colleague, or you can build on someone else's idea during a stand-up meeting, for instance. And it's really hard to replace that in the current remote setup. Yeah. But we're trying to raise awareness for this so that we can solve it in other ways. And also we use a number of collaboration tools during our work processes, where fortunately we're able to create a lot of creative cohesion. So these are tools where our clients can also contribute to our creative process. So, and that works for us at the moment. But of course we want to be able to do physical brainstorms ASAP.
Yeah, I find myself sometimes wondering about all the sort of innovative or out there ideas that didn't happen because we just didn't run into each other, going to and from a meeting, or, just wandering down the hall and bumping into someone, and what were those like little inspiration moments that just like haven't happened? Yeah, it's definitely been a concern with our team as well. I mean, are there any special things that you've been trying to do to help the team stay connected? To maybe even avoid things like burnout? Like I said, like I'm assuming, like with the two of you, being leaders of this global now network of creative talent, you're probably on a lot of video calls, not just in a regular working day, but now it probably extends even beyond that. So what kind of special things you're doing to help the team, kind of stay connected and avoid things like burnout?
Yeah, I think this is also one of the challenges that company leaders face today. We all have these fried brains at the end of the day. But to be fair,
headphone ears.
To be fair, we don't approach employee well-being as an holistic umbrella program that we roll out at this point of time. I would rather see our approach to this as a more iterative, ongoing process aimed at continuously improving the employee work from home experience. And that's what we do basically. We focus on solving one pain point, one frustration at a time, and where we actually keep moving from solution to solution. For example, exactly a year ago, in the first week of the lockdown here in the Netherlands, we immediately drove a truck through the Netherlands to make deliveries to employees at home in order to set up their workplace as well as possible, because not everybody was fully equipped to work remote. We delivered screens, chairs, even entire desks from our office in Rotterdam, and that was even when we didn't know that the lockdown was going to take so long. So another thing that we did was from the start onwards, making clear what we do and do not expect from employees when work from home. Also inspired by all the knowledge that was shared within the SoDA community. We were also able to quickly distribute DPDK's work from home guidelines with the teams, and within those guidelines, we have given employee well-being a central role, and shared all kinds of tips that can improve well-being. And yeah, I think it's also as simple as being flexible, for instance, to parents, right? Employees with kids. We've made it clear that if you have to take care of your kids, for instance, that it's okay to work fewer hours, and that team members are not expected to make up for any missed hours in their evenings or in their weekends, because you will burn out eventually. And we don't want other colleagues to catch up for them as well. So as I put it, employee well-being is more a continuous customization process. It's some employees live in a spacious house with a garden, but they have to take care of their kids all day, whereas others may live in a smaller apartment together with roommates and have a bad internet connection, for instance. So yeah, it's our responsibility to help solve all those pain points as much as possible.
Yeah, that's great. And an iterative approach. I mean, this is new for most of us, and there are a lot of benefits of being like, they're kind of like they're sort of unpaid. Like they're not benefits that are recorded on like a sheet, but like a benefits of being in the office and being around people. And so when you're not there and you're missing that, like, it's a real loss, because I don't think you thought about them again as a tangible benefit in the past, and in the way you just like, well, this is just work, and you get a lot creatively out of that. And I think it's hard. You know, I felt the same, like being here in my office staring at the same things all the time. I'm like, why do I feel like this? It's like, well, because I just can't go and like
new posters,
have a copy, you know. The posters are making up for it. This is like one of the ways I'm like trying to make up for that loss of my, being next to all the people that I love to work with. So iterative approach is best. And I think just, being invested, right, and showing the team that you're invested in their well-being, I'm sure that's paid off as well, right? Like, and as an employee as well, like knowing that Adobe is looking out for us, and tomorrow we're going to have a global day off where everybody, like saying, like, this is a Friday, everybody take this Friday. That's helped me feel more confident, and in the end that pays off for me being more creative, and like it pays off in the long run, having that investment in your employees and their well-being. So that's great to hear. Michael, kind of moving on a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about how design has changed and evolved at DPDK, and of course you are right there leading the charge. How has DPDK evolved when it comes to the type of work you're creating, type of work you're doing, kind of the intersection of brand and few years?
Yeah, so we've always kind of opposed this single touch point mindset. The idea that create a nice website and everything will be fine, right? Instead, we have always had this integrated digital experience idea where you combine a unique brand with another products and engaging content. And that has been it's always been there. I think it had been simmering at first, and it just like came to light more and more clear to us. For instance, like if you create a website, it needs to be a reflection of the brand it's promoting, right? And it needs to be populated by this high quality and recognizable photography and illustrations and copy written in the right tone of voice. And you need to do all of that. Or if you're releasing a campaign website, you also need to do the banners, the videos, the mailings, etc. So and if you need to do that with a brand that's out of date or it's ill-equipped to facilitate all of those needs, you'll not reach the max potential, basically. And we had always had this idea or this holistic view kind of instinctively, but we found ourselves at a certain point creating, evolving maybe even whole brand identities, or creating specific, brand assets, just because we wanted to create something small as a beautifully animated preloader, right? And you would kind of back engineer into a brand, and without asking, like, elevate it, and you'd be tinkering with it, you'd be messing with it, whatever you do. So it's for us, it wasn't really possible to say, let's just work on this island and not touch the other ones. And we kept seeing like the big connection between brands and products and the content that needs to populate them. And definitely another thing we spotted was digital sameness. Right. Remember the point? There was a case being made about almost every airliner app looking, almost exactly identical, right? Because everybody found out there. Okay, we have like a user journey, and there are steps in the process, but like that was it. That was implemented, and that was it. There was no unique brand on top of it. There was no real innovation on the product, below it, basically. So yeah, we keep hammering on this integrated approach as being the big differentiator for brands and products.
Yeah.
So we have seen in the recent years a more awareness for this approach, which we love. We also always love to spread the word and to fuel that. We also published a manifesto about it. So we try to reach as many companies as we can, and as many agencies. I mean, it's just a firm belief that we have, and we have our way of working that. So we, with the three, our starting point is usually the brand. It's not the ask. The ask is usually coming from products, but then we assess everything, and then after we assess a product, the gaze goes towards brand, because it starts with a brand's heart, right? The strategy and the identity together, and we start to uncover their unique nature, basically, because once you have that as a foundation, that's only then can you really build. You have the fabric to build a product, basically, that will be kind of already unique by itself. I mean, sometimes you can say a website's a website, but you can tell the difference, even if they're very similar, companies in the same industry and similar propositions. You can definitely always tell the difference between a company where a lot of thought and craft has gone into the brand strategy and brand identity, and then translate it into the product. Or we just, we take something and we throw out a couple of lines that, that seem dashing, and it says in one line, like, this is what we do, and, because everybody does that, and then we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I think that's definitely, it's such a big belief for us. It's, you start with the brand, and then it trickles down to a product, which is usually the website, but nowadays it's even more, it turned into this ecosystem of products, right? Yeah. It's not, there are almost no companies that only have one website and that's all they do, that's all they have, right? You will probably also have a portal, you might also have an app, or you're leveraging different marketing channels, social channels. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different, and that all needs to be in conjunction with each other. So that's it's really we always hope to or strive to work on Trinity, on the three, because we know if we do, from a single agency perspective, just working with that brand, that's where you realize a lot of potential.
Yeah. And a user is not interfacing with a company, on a single channel, as you're kind of pointing out. Like I think their expectations, like the user expectation in terms of digital literacy, right, has just gone through the roof, right? And of course,
absolutely,
it's accelerated with our time, of course, being glued to our screens over this time of the pandemic and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you? I mean, Pim, do you see clients being more open to this work? As we were kind of joking before, trying to sell them just to do a website, but are they more open now to this manifesto? Which I love that word, Michael. It's something I have a big belief in, is really stating your principles and your values through something like a manifesto. So I love that. But Pim, are you seeing clients being more open, to that work, that approach, and the work that the team is so good at doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think that clients have become more digital savvy as well, right? The industry has matured over time, and clients are aware of the fact that they also operate this ecosystem of different products, and that it's not really efficient just to build all these products from the ground up without having an holistic view on this ecosystem from a design perspective, for instance. So totally, yeah.
That's great. I mean, for the two of you, I mean, this has been a great, I really, I believe in this trajectory. I'm right there alongside of you. I think that intrinsically as designers, I think we've always approached things in a holistic manner. And it's really been kind of this, this growth, or this sort of, growth of sophistication, or, sort of digital literacy, where now kind of everybody else has sort of come along for the journey with us. So, but what are the next steps? How do you see this evolving from here? Like, what is the team looking at and planning for in the future when it comes to the evolution of the work?
Yeah, so I think in general, coming from an organization standpoint, we want to keep designing an organization that's enables us to remain lean while we continue to grow, and while we try to be the best employer. That's kind of inward looking. That's for us. And then I think second, what we keep focus on in terms of the work is to combine being able to combine innovation, creativity, and data. Right. That's becoming more and more important. That you have performance teams measuring and creating actionable insights so that we can improve creative output. That we can you can run quick tests, you can get data and improve the results or design, or so that's definitely a big one. And then last is the capability to speed up. I mean, what Pim said, digital ecosystems for brands they will keep expanding, right? They're expanding, and they will definitely even fueled, like what you said, by things like a pandemic. Like everything is now digital, right? We cannot go to any store anymore, at least here, and a lot of places around the globe, right? So if you want to buy something or get service somewhere or have an experience somewhere, right, it's digital. So a lot of brands have already been expanding the products, their ecosystem, and they will keep doing that. So for us as agencies, we will need to be able to keep accommodating fast expanding ecosystems, but also just fast design changes. Right, improving on existing products and scaling them to new ones, and while we keep on personalizing journeys and creating personalized content, because in the end, that's what we're here for, to try and build this through a brand, build a emotional and semi-personal relationship where there's a give and take of relevancy, basically.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really fascinating. Pim, anything from you on there, like on the evolution of work? Anything you wanted just to add to Michael?
Yeah, I think that it's. I just realized that we're talking about ecosystems now today in 2021, and I thought I was wondering whenever we had talked about ecosystems like 5 years ago, if a client has understood what we're talking about, basically, because ecosystems is such it's a weird term for this collection of products, right? But today everybody gets what we mean with it. So that's I think that's a really nice trend within the industry, and also positive for DPDK's value proposition in this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. So kind of on this topic, just kind of shifting a little bit, getting maybe a little more in the weeds here. So, I know that the DPDK has been a big fan of and have embraced the idea of design systems, right? As basically a foundation, for this ecosystem, as it were. Yeah. And Michael, you mentioned something that really caught me last time we talked about that, which you were really connecting the brand to the design system. Yeah. Right, and the design system as an expression of an application of that brand, again, across all these different sort of surfaces and channels. Tell us a little bit more about that. Maybe expand on that a little bit more, and maybe part of your process and your workflow in working with the client.
Yeah, great. Like, stop me when it's time. Like, this is we can
3 minutes, Michael.
This is jam.
Exactly.
This is right here.
We've been working with design systems for a long time, and been seeing them as an important part of the design process. Right, you know, they create consistency. They give you control over the experience. You know, they can you know, improve your workflow. So I mean, they're ideal, and they have become important, more important over time. You know, as they translate brand values into products that are related, and you know, the possibility of going from one product to another seamlessly, right? You can and again, like you could achieve scale really quickly from going from one product to another by making some tweaks. So we see a good design system as a business opportunity, right? Maybe sounds strange from you know, a designer at heart, but it actually is. It's just good for business.
Yeah.
Not everyone sees it that way until now, however, right? We see big differences in the levels of design maturity within businesses. We see clients emerge that have adopted this whole ecosystem perspective, indeed, like very, you know, big word for something, but it, you know, it makes sense. And these are typically the clients that are, you know, that they understand, and maybe even by now asking for a product design system. Right. Whereas there's still many of those single touch point minded businesses as well that have more difficulty in embracing the promise of a product design system. Again, we decided to write our thoughts in a manifesto about this because we firstly believe in them, and so we're trying to help like speed up the process here. We're releasing that soon, so keep an eye out. But the main challenge here, I think, towards businesses that are not already embracing it is the ROI, right? The return on investment. There's the perpetual question of, is it a byproduct, or is it the product itself, right? It's very difficult to say, coming from a design system, what the ROI is, because it lies in the future. Right, you can't say as tangible as, for instance, a website. You can say like, this is what it will look like, and this is how it will work. Right? It will perform over time. It will win you back time and money and loss of resources over time. So that's a difficult thing that we have to get across. You know, it's not self-evident currently at this point in time. So we're just trying to get that point across.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting point, like you said, Michael. Even now, where you know people are, I mean, I think everybody interfaces with brands and companies, whether they be Apple or Google or you know, kind of any of the big players, and you can feel when you're within an Apple product, or when you're within a Microsoft product, like their products really are an expression of their brand in a way. And so it's interesting that you say that it's still kind of an uphill battle to kind of get them to kind of go along with this investment when, you know, there are successful examples, and maybe they just don't see themselves in that same league, right? And they see their needs a little more oriented, you know.
That can be a big part of it. Definitely. So that's I think, but that's a, you know, all the more reason to help businesses, you know, uncover like how many things do you already actually have. It's hard to find a brand that doesn't have a website and a portal, right? Your my environment, basically. If you're a business selling any like services, you'll have that, right? It's the you know, and again, then you'll have your marketing channels, and you know, it really, you know, you can really connect everything. A design system is kind of the tissue over different products, channels, and touch points that really makes you flow from one into the other.
Pim, on your end, like this is just kind of something that just came to my mind here, like because you're the CEO of DPDK now, and of course you're in charge of in many ways keeping the doors open and going out there and pitching and selling to clients, which again, that's a huge part of our jobs as designers is you know, pitching and selling and getting people kind of on board with a story, right? You know, how have you shifted your tactics? You know, like as Michael said, you're you're really invested in design, in having design systems be an expression of this brand and a very holistic approach, to the creation of the work for the clients. How have you changed your strategy, as CEO, in telling that story to clients and getting them to kind of buy into that?
You mean in terms of product design systems?
Well, yeah, like, so if you go in and you say, well, we want to not just, not only, do your design system and get you to kind of buy into, the work that's going to entail both now and in the future, but really take a look at your brand holistically and think critically about the brand as it's being expressed in all these different ways across all these different sort of channels or that broader ecosystem. Like, have you changed your approach in the past 5 years?
No,
strategy,
not specifically for that, for the branding part, but for the product design system, like Michael mentioned, and he used a lot of words for it. I just kidding. I think it's at the moment it's really hard to sell product design systems to clients, because if they don't approach us with a specific brief, and with a specific ask for a product design system, it's really hard to convince them of the ROI of the product design system. So we don't have specific tactics for selling product design systems at this time. This is one of the fundamental discussions that we have about product design system. Is it a byproduct of a website, for instance, that we're designing? Or is it an actual product itself? So, and that's where the discussion is. But the fun thing is that some clients actually do approach us with the question, "Hey, please help us design a design system." So maybe it's the same as ecosystems, that over a couple of years, everybody is talking about product design systems, like we're all talking about ecosystems nowadays. So.
Well, one of the things I have to imagine as well, and again, it's been a while since I've been on the service side of, I design for product teams here at Adobe, but before that, my previous life, I was working, at a studio and doing, client-based work. But I just remembered kind of the old adage back in the day, like when you would do the brand, sort of guidelines, and you sort of wrap this all up, and then there would be this handoff, right? And of course, those people internally it would be an uphill battle for them to come with and to apply that brand, right, in the same way that, like, you who'd been sort of immersed in it had. I remember I handed off this crazy brand style guide to an arts museum in San Francisco, and like, I just knew when I was handing it over, like, this thing was just going to fall flat. But, but that's not really like, design systems, like is such an integrated part of, not only the sort of product development, but the future product and service development of a company. Do you handle the handoff differently? Is it much more engaged? Like, it's much more of a partnership than more of a, less of that old kind of like client designer relationship in the past, where it was really just like here, handoff, final handoff, done, wash your hands of it. Like, is that engagement with clients, like, even after the handoff, like, different now because of things like design systems and more of that, supporting that digital ecosystem?
Yeah, with product design systems, definitely not. But I agree with you with the brand design system. Just solely focus on the brand. It's completely different. The product design systems have the potential to effectively build products, because there is potentially there's a relation with the tech side of things as well. So with the brands, absolutely, but the product design systems have way more potential the way I see it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think I started looking not too long ago as on these design systems, like on a family tree kind of basis, right, where a brand design system is connected to different product design systems, and even to something like we have an illustration design system at DPDK, where we have an illustration library where everything we illustrate, we save, and it's according to guidelines, and we've done a specific library on this, so that we can really quickly use parts of it, so we don't have to invent the wheel all the time. And then we create a new illustration with it, and we add back to the library. And that's connected to the brand design system. It's also connected to the product design system of the website, and also to our print materials. Yeah. So they're interrelated. And the beauty of it now, technology's there that the files can be interrelated. So once we shift brand color, immediately, even down to the illustration design system, the color would change.
Yeah.
And that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, the investment might be a little higher, but the potential payoff, right, of these interconnected systems for a company, for their brand, like is kind of, you can't really put a value on that, again, because users are experiencing now these companies in all these different ways, not just like, so there's the logo on the ad, out, as I'm passing by on the street, or, seeing their ad on the magazine. Those can feel like very disconnected experiences. That's where this digital ecosystem, as we're sort of talking about, like users are sort of interacting with your brand at all these different touch points, and they're moving, and they're interconnected. You click on one link and now you're on another surface, and then you're on another surface, and it's so important that those things you tell a cohesive story, that have a cohesive experience leading you through.
Customers don't respect those silos. They just have their experience, period.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. And we will, we just have to answer that call and break away silos. So even between like digital and offline, you can still make those connections. I mean, obviously we focus on digital, but you can even extend them to print, and all that, and more traditional advertising, basically. Yeah.
And users are just getting more and more sophisticated in their approach, and so they're sensing that more so than ever before. So yeah. Well, it looks like we're going to be getting some audience questions in a second. So if you're out there in the audience and you have some questions for Pim and Michael, please put them in the chat. They will be coming over to me, and I'll be asking your question on your behalf. So, but kind of till we get there, I wanted to talk about like what's keeping the two of you excited and creative right now? What are the things that keep you going through all these shifts and changes that we've been through in the past year?
Michael?
That's a good one. Yeah. I mean, even though we're it's all remote, it's still like from the work, it's still the teamwork and what you see emerge. That's it's a small upside, but like when you can see the wall, we can't walk into one of our studios anymore and there's no designs up on the wall like you have behind you. We have cork on all the walls in the studios. So right, but then that also means you're always aware of kind of what's being done, and now suddenly you have these moments. I mean, obviously I see some more leaving the design studio than others, but still you have these moments of suddenly a piece of work emerges that's a team has been working on, and you go like, wait, the last time I saw that was a storyboard. Now it's like full-blown animation, and it just takes big leaps. And that's exciting to see. That's really cool. And whenever you see a team in online collaboration tools, you see all the cursors move, and you just if you have the time, it's just great to just sit back a couple of minutes and you see the team creating a mood board together, or I don't know, forming business requirements, or you can just literally see it happening before your eyes. You can see the output happening, and that's I think those are some of the nice moments of at least of the work coming back to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pim, how about you? What's keeping you going right now?
Yeah, I am to be honest, I am a bit tired of this whole lockdown situation.
No need to put a veneer on that at all. Just like yeah.
Just bond with my colleagues and just feel everybody's vibes and the energy. So I to be honest, I really miss that. And what Michael just mentioned, the walls with all the designs and just the creative vibe is really, really hard to create here in my work from home setup here. So it's one of the things, one of the pros I think of this situation is that you're very, very, very productive, right? It's very, very, very functional. So I get a lot of work done. So that's a good thing. But yeah, it's not my the best creative period in my life, to be honest. So I hope to get back to the office ASAP and just get a feel about what's going on and build on someone else's idea, and hopefully some other people, some other colleagues can build on my ideas as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that I have really learned is just how proactive I have to be, like to like stay engaged and like be creative and find those again. Like I can't really rely on just like chance meetings, going out to coffee, or you know, just like random hallway meetings, or being inspired by something that someone else is doing. That like it takes a lot of energy and effort to do it, and sometimes it feels like double the work just to get the same creative output. So I definitely feel you there, Pim. All right, we've got a couple questions coming in here from the chat. So I hope I'm going to pronounce his or her name correctly. Saba Tomzak from Toronto. You had this question for you, either of you. So outside of design systems, you know, how do you see the discussion around ROI evolving? You know, like, what are your clients looking for, and what's the story you're telling them from an ROI perspective?
Yeah, great question. Because we see it arise more often. So for design or digital design, I think a lot of has always been measurable of the performance part, right, on digital more than in more traditional advertising, and that's only increasing, right? The ROI for complete design teams in terms of how much what's your effectivity rate, and or what's the customer satisfaction rate that that we get back from this updated design, or what's the conversion rate. So there's a lot of measurements obviously that you can benchmark, and that's only increasing. Also our potential to get in the data, that's increasing. What we always do at the start of our process is that we combine the business strategy and the business objectives in terms of what do we need to achieve, and then we start mixing that with design thinking, focusing on who are we working for and what are they trying to achieve and how can we help them. Because ultimately, if we help the users, then we will hit our targets basically. If you design it right. So that's, you need to factor that in when you start, and throughout, once you go live, you need to start measuring the things that you wanted to measure in the first place.
Yeah. So really setting the stage, setting those expectations early, and then coming in with a payoff at the end, actually showing those performance metrics. So you're right. Like, I think that our access to that, and the more and more designers have access to that information, they can start to continue to sort of, show design value and actually even grow that potential value.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can just like really show, you need to take the beauty pageant out of it. Right. You need to have some results, and that also means, for many designers, that means like growing up, or it means a shift in like, how do I need to take a look at my work? I mean, unless we are unless we're only artists, right? But we're we help businesses, so maybe as a side thing, we hope to be artists in some way.
I think it's always that part in the back of our minds where like cool.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think the hard thing of the ROI part is that it's about future efficiency, right? So if you have to explain ROI to a client, then I don't think that it's the right client for the product design system, because if the client doesn't have the holistic product ecosystem approach, he or she will never get the potential efficiency of a product design system. So when you're actually discussing ROI together with a client and try to behind the scenes sell the product design system, I'm not really sure if you will succeed, to be honest, because of the fact that it's a discussion topic, right, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a great point. It's definitely, I mean, people need to be bought in to what you're doing, or else you're never going to get the full value out of it, right? There has to be, we were kind of talking about like actually the engagement needed to hand off successfully a design system, right? And how much investment it takes to then apply it, and then you'll see the results, but it really takes an investment up front to be able to do it. So I think you're totally right, Pim. So got a question here from Munir Alobani, about evaluating remote work. What do you look for? How do you select the right candidate? As you're kind of expanding that search a little more globally, what are you looking for in a designer right now?
Oh yeah. Thanks for the last addition of in a designer. I mean, obviously we're looking for different things for different type of roles, but for designers, there's always obviously the level of the quality level of work. That's one, like the hands, but even more important is the thinking. Like what's I always try to figure out what somebody's thinking level is and what kind of whatever the process is somebody goes through. Somebody might be quite junior in terms of experience, but really mature in terms of understanding understanding brands or understanding products and where they should be headed and how to go about their work. Is it very archaic, or do you have kind of a process? Is it systematic, and then where does that lead you? Are you willing to explore and then make some hard, tough choices, or are you always going back and forth? So you're trying to find some of that in a lot of work. Obviously, it's not just about looking at work; it's about having conversations. We always try to find a cultural fit with DPDK as well. Really like imagining, running through, multiple questions, but specifically the one, or mostly the one, like, would this person fit in the team? Right? Is it somebody that everybody can relate to? There's this certain thing you just, you look for in people. And then always we put it to the test for most, for designers as well. We give them a design challenge to see how they handle that. And that will always be a mix of the hands and the brain mixed together, so that we're like, because sometimes the work doesn't say it all, right? A picture is a picture. You don't know how a portfolio is built up always. So that really gives you a very good, like, complete idea.
Yep.
I mean, in the end, it's about talent, drive, the same kind of exceptionalism that we strive for. Somebody needs to have that innate, of course.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it's always that is a little tricky to evaluate, but I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have two last questions, so maybe we can get through them. One might need an expansion, like a whole other topic, like a whole other session, but we're going to
next week
stab at it. So here we go. So Sala had another question here. So how do you price a brand design system, right? Like, what are the variables, the factors you're looking at when it comes to like pricing that? Is it by the company size, by the number of users? Like, what are the variables you're looking at and how you're pricing that type of work for your client? Maybe just like broad strokes. Keep it.
I think interesting. Well, this could be one of those questions that is a bit ahead of its time, right? I think that would be a lovely. Wouldn't it be lovely? Right. Yeah. It's a very good question, Saba.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it would be really good if maybe we would have turned it into a company itself by now. If we say, this is exactly the approach, right? It's at this point in time, it is more archaic in the sense of how many products are in there, how many relationships are in there, what's the magnitude of all the things that you need to achieve. I mean, there's product design systems out there running 200 plus different websites all over the globe, and there are product design systems for one website and one portal, right? So it's obviously that will definitely relate to it, but there's more factors because in the ultimate setup of a design system, you want a team managing the design system, right? You want a design team being the curators of this design system, while maybe even other teams are working on different products. Yeah. So there is, I think there is no clear-cut answer on that. I think because it also depends on agency model, and are we are the teams dedicated, or is it just time and material? So that's very difficult. I think size and magnitude, obviously, definitely a big factor, and then how much human effort has to go into maintaining the design system. How many, right? That's another one. Like how many instances, how many updates does it need to do?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're about out of time. I wanted to kind of say to the people who maybe are in the chat who maybe have other questions, Can they reach you on Twitter and the like? On out there in the world to maybe follow up? Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. You can follow us on Twitter at DPDK. Right, hit us up with your questions. We'll be looking out for them. Definitely. I mean, you can also find us on LinkedIn or Insta, whatever your choice is.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you both so much. Oh, then we got in the West.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, good point. Well, thank you two so much. It was such a pleasure chatting with you both. Best of luck now here in this new year. I hope we can all get back, in the office with each other, and hopefully I can make it over there and visit the studio when we all get back as well. I'd love that. So
yeah, we'll have live physical 3D cocktails. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you, Pim.
Great talking to you again.
I think we're gonna let Tom and Kristen wrap up here. I think they're gonna come back.
Yes, thank you guys. That was awesome. I loved all the design brand system discussion. Really a great topic. We could certainly have a whole session just on that and more.
Absolutely. I also love their kind of perspectives on digital sameness and avoiding it. It's one of these challenges.
Yes.
We all kind of migrate now to these same platforms and technologies to make digital a little easier and to make it achieve the scale that we want. But then we find ourselves in this hole where everybody looks the same. So and we've been hearing this a lot lately, is the reemergence of really valuing the brand and brand differentiation in the digital experience, beyond this notion of we've got to be on the latest platform that looks like everyone else. So I think that's a really important topic.
Avoid the sameness.
Yeah, but big thanks to Pim and Michael, for being on today. And big thanks to Talon again for leading these discussions so expertly. Kristen, do you want to talk a little bit about our next session?
So next March 11th, same time, we have a conversation with Dan Saltzman, the VP of Design and User Experience from Ogilvy, joining us. So we hope that we'll see you next month for SoDA Series Live in March. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Have a great day.